Federal prosecutors this week have been working their way down a lengthy witness list. They called their first expert witness on Wednesday morning, as well as a federal agent. Prosecutors plan to call one of their most high-profile witnesses Thursday when Scott Mescudi, the Grammy-winning artist known as Kid Cudi, takes the stand. The remainder of the government's witness list is not public. Defense attorneys signaled to the court that prosecutors may not call a witness known as Gina, a third alleged victim who would testify against Combs, because they are having trouble communicating with her lawyer and arranging her appearance. Where is Gina? Vanished. Or silenced. She's a key witness in a high-profile investigation. Then suddenly she disappears. No public sightings, no statements, and not a single word since her last Instagram post on April 17th. That post? The secret sauce is you. Now the question isn't just where Gina is. It's why she's gone. Did she go into hiding? Or was she paid to disappear? On October 16th, 2024, Gina posted a cryptic message on Instagram, starting a new life. A fresh start, or a quiet exit. Now, with her sudden disappearance, that post feels less like a life update, and more like a warning. Diddy could lose everything, not just freedom, but his entire empire. Racketeering and coercion. The charges are serious. Under the RICO Act, the government can seize it all. Homes, cars, jet. Even the label that made him a mogul. A special officer testified today the government started investigating Diddy when Cassie filed a lawsuit in 2023. Now, with multiple lawsuits, Diddy's fighting for his life and his legacy. His legal team just brought in a federal asset forfeiture expert. If prosecutors prove his wealth is linked to crimes, it's gone. In 2024, Forbes slashed Diddy's net worth to $400 million, a staggering fall from his $740 million peak in 2019. Still, Diddy and his camp claimed billionaire status. But there was one problem: no evidence, no documents. Just words. And in the court of public opinion, that's not enough. So Diddy brought in a secret weapon. Stephan Casella, former DOJ prosecutor and America's top expert on asset forfeiture. He spent 30 years taking down criminal empires, and now he's trying to save Diddy's. As Diddy's legal storm intensifies, he's called in a top-tier weapon. While denying all charges, his legal team hired Stephan Casella, one of the nation's leading experts in federal asset forfeiture. A former federal prosecutor with over 30 years at the Department of Justice, Casella spent his career dismantling criminal enterprises and seizing illicit fortunes. Now, he's consulting on Diddy's defense, because the stakes are that high. RICO forfeiture is intentionally broad and carries serious consequences, Casella told USA Today. While he couldn't comment directly on the case, he warned, it's going to boil down to what they can prove was part of the enterprise. In other words, if the DOJ links Diddy's wealth to the crimes, his empire could be stripped away piece by piece.
A series of shocking pics released by the Department of Justice halfway through week 2 of Sean Diddy Combs' trial for sex trafficking and racketeering, charges he denies.
Even the judge has made mention of not wanting this to be a case sort of built on gossip, but really making sure that these jurors are hearing the meat and potatoes of what we're here for, and that's the criminal enterprise, racketeering, sex trafficking, and making sure that we're hearing information that somehow lead to all of those things.
All of this was uncovered during that raid on Diddy's Miami compound back in 2024. Firearms and ammo, bondage kits, sex toys, male performance enhancers, a plethora of stripper heels, an alarming amount of baby oil and lube, and drugs, all allegedly used in Diddy's so-called freak-offs.
A personal assistant, a former personal assistant of Sean Combs from 2007 to 2009, wrapped up his testimony today. And part of what he described is seeing Sean Combs, he says, frequently using drugs. Because of these freak-offs, the personal assistant, sometimes he said he had to get supplies for the hotel. He said oftentimes the hotel would be under Sean Combs' alias, Frank Black, and that he had to provide underwear, clothing, applesauce, Jell-O, Fiji water. These were things that were expected to be in the room that Combs was used to having, that his personal assistant said he would provide. Also interesting to note, he said early on he would expense some of those things, the Jell-O and the Fiji water and things, on the bad boy account. But he said when it came to the Astroglide, the condoms, and things of that nature, he would get reimbursed in cash, almost as if there was no record of those types of things. And more specifically, when it came to the Astroglide, the condoms, and baby oil, he said he would be reimbursed in cash. I think so much of what came out of that civil lawsuit and these freak-offs and this idea that, again, Cassie Ventura saying she was forced into these situations and that she really didn't want to partake in them, even in her closing statement Friday saying, I would give the $20 million back if it meant I never had to take part in a freak-off. This is how she ended her testimony.
Raids, riches, and a rising storm. Federal agents swarmed Diddy's lavish mansions, but they weren't just looking for evidence. They were asking, were these luxury homes tools in a dark criminal operation? Behind the marble walls and waterfront views, investigators are asking a chilling question. Were these luxury estates used to lure, exploit, and silence victims? If so, everything, from the chandeliers to the waterfront views, could be seized. This isn't just a scandal. It's a reckoning. These properties aren't just luxurious. They could be labeled co-conspirators. If the charges were, the government would ask, were these homes used to introduce victims? Did they help facilitate illegal acts? And if the answer is yes, if prosecutors link the opulent estates to the criminal web, those properties could be seized. Diddy's real estate portfolio is sprawling. A $40 million mansion in Holmby Hills, a $5.25 million retreat in Toluca Lake, twin waterfront estates on Miami Beach's Star Island worth nearly $50 million combined, and a $3 million Miami condo. He even sold a Hamptons home for $4.7 million last year, possibly sensing the heat. Now, those very homes, symbols of wealth and power, may be dragged into the legal firestorm. If prosecutors prove these properties were tools of the trade, they could vanish just as fast as the reputation of the man who owns them.